All right, we're live. What's up, guys? My name is Parker here. Today I'm with Jared again. Today we're gonna go a
Uh,
little bit of inside the mind today, okay? So that with us getting started now, Jared, let's have you go first. What's like your
let's see. So inside the mind, we can kind of elaborate on a lot of perspectives on this, but I feel like the mind for me, so I battle depression every single day. I wake up, I see the same thing every day. My mind sometimes tells me, negative thoughts. Sometimes it says positive thoughts. It's kind of like the body. The body, how you treat the body and how you treat the mind is how the mind and how the body works. So, for me, I think every day is kind of a struggle, just trying to understand, what's going on in this brain of mine. That sometimes signals different energies, different. I could be talking to the wrong person, and my mind completely just goes blank, and then I overreact, or there's so many ways to go about this. But let's hear you dive in a little bit, Parker, on the subject, and I'll pick it up from there.
yeah, so I mean, a little bit of the mind with me. I mean, currently at my stage of life, I would say that um, probably the biggest thing with me is that I probably have a hard time staying present. And
Right.
I don't know if I necessarily think negative thoughts all the time. I mean, sure. I mean, it comes up right where I think of negative thoughts. I mean, I'm trying to work on requalifying my thoughts, right? Like changing my negative thoughts more into positive thoughts, right? Or
Right.
just catching onto it before I go down this big rabbit hole, and then it's like, oh, I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling yada yada.
Yeah. Now I gotta ask, sometimes when you're in a moment with that, I mean, do you feel like sometimes when your mind isn't working correctly that you're making rational decisions, or do you think sometimes the mind just turns off in certain areas and you just kind of react in the moment, and then you reevaluate? Is that what's going on a
Well,
lot in your
I
life?
mean, sometimes, I mean, yeah, I mean, you could say too, it's like sometimes it's like like I'll say something before it's like I actually really think of something. It's like, wait, why did I say that? Like someone will be saying, like, I'll walk by somebody and they'll be like, hello, and I'll be like, I'm doing good, how are you? Or like I'll think
Yeah.
I'll have like a program like automatic response, right? Because I'm constantly kind of letting my mind
Yeah.
just race a little bit. I have like programmed thoughts. I'm just kind of like, you know what I mean? I'm not fully present sometimes, you could say.
Right. Yeah, and that could be a thing that's with the mind, like how your brain is. I know for me, I battle depression, so the way my brain is when I went to get it tested when I was diagnosed for bipolar disorder, uh, my brain went like this. Your brain's supposed to kind of go like this through the line. So the inside of my brain, there's a certain part inside the brain that actually doesn't work correctly for me. It could be kind of similar situation with yours. Once you get the brain tested, it's kind of then But a lot of times, you feed off of bad energy and just kind of react in the moment. And you say whatever, and then it does suck because we'll try to be
Yeah.
good to others, and then sometimes our brains like, why was I nice to that? But like it's really just kind of the activity of how your brain works. For me, it's a little different than possibly how yours might be functioning.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think, and back to like the whole, requalifying thoughts, right? Like trying
Right.
to stay present, sometimes it can be, sometimes you can just be lost in like this, just like all these thoughts going around, right? And it's like you just can't stay, feel like you can't stay present, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I guess for me, what I guess I like to do is, I mean, I would say, I would say some good things is to recognize, like the emotion that like I'm experiencing that's causing me to kind of like just go down this rabbit hole. Like, let's just say it's something like worry or something like that, right? So,
Right. Right.
you probably got to ask yourself, well, how can I stop being so worried? You know what I mean? And it's like, well, you can stop being so worried by maybe, being more like a flow state, not
Yeah.
my flow state is just kind of doing what you kind of enjoy, not being on your phone all the time, right?
Oh yeah. I feel like all the things that we do, I mean, social media, we're scrolling all day. It does so much damage to the brain. I mean,
Yeah. I'll,
the
I'll,
blue light, right? You know the blue light where you get those glasses.
oh yeah.
I
I got a
recently
pair of those glasses. I was wearing that on one of our episodes, a pair of those red light glasses. I should wear them, but the only
yeah.
thing about them though is that sometimes it just kind of like the quality of like I can't it's almost like I'm looking at like a whole new world, if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. It is crazy what the blue light like can do though, like to save you. Some like especially if you're on the social media, like especially at night, we that's the thing in our house. Half the time our lights are turned off and we rely on the sun, right? But we never just turn the electric light like, the electric on and then let the lights just, we don't understand like, playing video games at night and what it does to the brain really just turns it off in a certain
Well,
perspective and different
and
situations.
speaking of kind of turning off the brain, let's talk about none of us stimulate our brain anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like when you go to school and like you're doing something like math and like it's hard.
Yeah.
And it's and especially like what's like really hard whenever you haven't done like schoolwork or something like that like a long time, and then all of a sudden you have to do hard stuff like classes or school, and then it's just like it just kind of hurts your brain because it's almost like you're just not used to having
Learning.
you're not used to learning, you're just so
Yeah.
used to just going to getting home at like whatever time, and then it's like from there that's like you watch TV before like all the way until you go to bed. You don't sit there, you don't read or actually think or try to learn, right? You just want to just chill. We all just want to chill, right? Some of us want to chill more than others.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, the lazy mind is such a tricky thing. I mean, we'll say, "Oh, I'm gonna go do this," and then you totally do the opposite, and it's like that's your brain just
Oh, yeah,
not functioning.
exactly. Like you'll be like, all right, I'm just gonna lay down just for 10 minutes, like a nap. I'm just gonna kind of recuperate, and then next thing you know, you're spending your whole day in your bed just playing on your phone or something.
Or like, yeah, you say like, "I'm gonna take a 15-minute nap." It turns into 2 hours and 15 minutes. I mean, that's just you know what I mean? That's a lot of wasted time, a lot of brain activity not work. And that's another thing when you're sleeping, your brain is like turned off. So people
Yeah,
don't actually know. Like, yes, sometimes it's good to take a nap, but also it can be harmful to the body if you take it for too long. Like, you know what I mean? Like for
yeah,
me,
'cause you wake up groggy and stuff. Yeah,
I
yeah,
work graveyard, so it's like sometimes I need a nap just to recuperate, so I don't have to like, you know what I mean, be like dozing off all night. But sometimes I'll take it for too long, and it ends up becoming harmful to my brain and the way my body's reacting and so forth. We don't know that all the time, but it really it's crazy how we harm our body and our mind sometimes when we don't even mean to. It's crazy what it does to the brain, bro.
oh, I know. And I think some of us too, some of us we just don't know what to do with our time. You know what I mean? Where
Uh,
it's like it causes us to just kind of go down this like rabbit hole of just sitting around and just playing on our phone, right? It's like we don't sometimes it's like we don't know what else to do with our time, right? So
yeah,
I can also kind of go into, you got to use your time wisely to kind of help stimulate your brain, but you also have to kind of force yourself to do hard stuff, right? And it can
right.
just be in just 10 minutes, you know what I mean? Like before, like, oh, you know what? Instead of me just going and laying down right now, I'm gonna go uh clean this right now, or I'm just gonna read for 10 minutes and then I can maybe chill out. Just kind of incorporating a little bit more. And I think it's totally cool to have a little bit of downtime, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there is a such thing as burnout too, which I think is another thing that has the function on the brain. Like sometimes we'll overdo it, and then our brain will just be so shut off. Like somebody will be talking to us, and we're not even like acknowledging them. We're just yeah, yeah, yeah. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
our brain plays in so many factors. Like just a lot of times it's not even working correctly. There's like when I got my brain tested, when I got diagnosed with bipolar disorder, it was like there's four areas. You got one that's like your
Hmm.
functionality, the one that kind of like makes your decisions, and then the one that kind of processes your brain when you're sleeping, and then you got this other one that's just kind of like the one where it's like built off emotion. So like you might be battling paranoia. There's just lots of areas around the brain. I'm not giving it exact, but kind of those were good four categories of how the brain, like different areas might be working for you and they might not be working for me. You get what I'm saying?
And like back to like negative emotions, do you ever feel like sometimes that you can't control like the way you feel? Like you want to like have positive thoughts and you want to feel positive, but it's like sometimes you can't feel that way. It's almost like you just you have this negative energy. You feel this type of energy that you don't want to feel. Have you ever felt that before? Where it's like you want to shut it off and it's like you can't kind of.
Well, yeah, yeah, that can work in a lot of perspectives, bro, because sometimes if you build so much, like if you kind of keep your mouth shut for so long, like, it could be like a relationship or something, at some point you're gonna break, you know what I mean? And whether it comes out positively or negatively, at some point it's gotta happen, you know what I mean? Because if you like let your mind build up so much, the brain and the mind and your body and all this stuff, it starts to wear down and tear. Whether you react to someone positively or negatively, it's just like if I was treating you horribly. I mean, you don't just kind of like, you know, circle up and then isolate. Like honestly, a lot of times what we do is we retaliate, and it's not always good. But like, you always got to keep your guard up. You got to make sure that you're doing right by yourself. Your mind might be telling you, oh, screw this person or whatever, and then
Right.
they might be already in that stage in a moment. So just if you kind of like brush it off and try to, I mean, sometimes walking away is good, but
Well,
really
I
letting
think
your
that that
emotions
I think
out.
I think it is good too. Well, we got to be careful about letting our emotions out because where does the negative energy come from, right? It comes from like either our chakras kind of being blocked or it
Mhm.
comes from our ego, right? Our ego is what tells us, hey, you know what? You need to be pissed off at that person because this person harmed you or
Yeah.
whatever, right? But you just can't let the ego control you, you know what I mean?
And I think that's an easy thing to say when it's like it only
No,
happens
it's
every
it's
once
easier
in a
said than
while.
done. That's true. It's easier said
Uh,
than done. Yeah.
well, I think when somebody beats somebody up like over and over and over again, at some point you have to like stand your guard and be like, "Hey, look, you're mentally draining me. Take two steps back, or this could happen, and I'm warning you." Like literally, you couldn't be any nicer than that
Well,
in that situation. You know what I mean? Like
and if you can, I mean, if you don't have to, hopefully you don't have to go that far, but hopefully you can just cut that person off, right? I mean, and what we might cut off is just be like, ah, you know what? I wish this person the best, but I'm gonna choose not to be around them, right?
Well, in there's situations. I mean, you got family. You might have a friend that you grew up with. You don't want to ever break that bond. So whether you have to guard
Sure,
up
sure.
and take a step in the maybe the a direction that you have to go, just to get your brain back on. You got to get your mind. Is the same way with our body. We have to have everything in check for everything to work out in a necessity. I mean, you know what I mean. So.
True. And
Um,
I think trying to remain positive in all types of situations in our life is, I know it can be hard, but I think it's a way
yeah.
to trick our mind to then it's like nothing
Yeah.
can bother us. You know, we have to kind of get to that state to where it's like nothing can bother us, you know? Because
Yeah.
bothers us and it's given us a low frequency, and that's not what we want. We don't want things to bother us. We just
Yeah.
have to kind of accept the flow of life and
Yeah.
allow things to just be the way they are. But we have to try to respond to it positively as much as possible. And then I think over time, I think that no matter what comes at us, then it's like we'll be able to just
Yeah.
we
Well,
won't feed into the negative energy, you know?
yeah, I think what's very important is communication. I mean, both people have to be on the same page, like communicating. If one's just kind of like trying and then the other person isn't putting the same effort in, this doesn't just have to be with relationships, but I mean, relationships could be family, friends, whatever. But it does end up a lot of times when we interact with people, it takes two people to, turn something into a positive. It doesn't always have to be a negative on both ends. So, learning how to, hey man, that kind of hurt me. It affected me, and I'm telling you this. I'm warning you. Please, back off, reevaluate, but like sometimes letting the person next to you know how you feel, you know what I mean? Instead of just holding it back and then building it up, that's a positive way to look at it as well. So
What about like viewing negative stuff, like viewing like negative energy, negative things said to us? What about what if we like kind of trick ourselves to like viewing it as positive though? Do
I
you
mean,
like
it could be everything you learn from, but at some point, if it keeps happening like from the same person, but you're the one who's trying to be positive, and the person just won't like puts the guard up. Nope, negativity's all I'm bringing. Then that's when communication becomes a big thing because how else are they going to know how you're feeling? Oh, you could just walk away, and they're supposed to know exactly how you're feeling. You got to communicate. That's why communication is such a key in everyday life. We learn this through school, we learn this through work. At work, I might want to say something to this guy, but I know the consequences. I could lose my job. Maybe I could overreact and then lose it. We have to know in these situations, each situation's different. Outside of work, it could be totally different. I could come at the person a different way, whether it's positive or negatively. But like in a workplace, got to keep it a positive ground and communicate. That's what it really comes down to, I think. But you know, that's a positive thing is communication, letting the person know how you feel, instead of holding back that energy and then making it
oh,
worse.
and I think what you're trying to say is just kind of like there has to be some kind of like some conscious partnership on both sides of the spectrum, right? You both have to just kind of be like, okay, maybe we disagree on this, or but let's not let it affect the relationship, you know what I mean? Or we have to both kind of um not get bothered by what you may say to each other, or
Right.
if it does or something like that, then maybe talk go about it in a positive light, bring it up in like a positive situation, and
Yeah.
that's the best way to go about it, you know?
Well, I like that. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly what I'm saying is just like, if you can get two people on the same page, it just makes the brain, and the mind and just everything that's going on, from it getting worse. Relationships seem to be the biggest issue with everyone. They might have the person next to them that just won't get out of this negative state of mind. And if you just kind of guard up and you're like, take it, at some point, you got to make sure that they understand that they're doing you wrong and you're doing everything positive to fix the situation. So we just feed off emotions, man. This is really how life is. At some point, letting the person know, hey, that hurt me. Can we go about it a different way? That's a positive way to go about it. You know,
True.
really is.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a great point. I'd like to kind of move on like a next kind of topic, like when it comes to the mind. Um, let's talk about maybe physical health in the mind.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if you want to have, depression or sadness, it's like, okay, well, here's some physical things we know that can cause that. Not getting enough sleep,
Right.
uh, consuming a bunch of processed foods and sugars,
Mhm.
sitting in house all day and laying in bed on your phone, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
like
These are all good ones.
there's all these things that people do, um,
Yeah.
and even just incorporating a little bit of that. Some of us we should stay away from um all the bad food there is. You know what I mean? We shouldn't be eating any
Yeah.
processed. That's just my opinion. Uh,
Yeah.
because
No.
I mean, when you eat sugar and you eat like those seed oils and stuff like that, that stuff it messes with your gut, and anything that messes with your gut messes with your mind.
Right.
And also, I mean, there's poisons everywhere. You know what I mean?
Oh,
I looked at one episodes like you got microplastics,
right.
and then look at just the water too. You know what I mean? You got fluoride too. And we know what that does to uh
Yeah.
like the pineal gland, right? It
Yeah.
calcifies it and prevents us from kind of living the life that we want to live, right?
Yeah. No, I agree. You know what the craziest thing is? Like we talked in the past about how cancer it comes to a point where like it really is how we treat ourselves. If we treat our body and our mind better, we're obviously going to get more benefits from it. I mean, if we just sit there and we're like, oh, I need that Twinkie, just to feel better. Like sometimes can do things in moderation, but at some point you have to understand that, you know, you're harming your body. You know, you have to take a step back and reevaluate. You know, that's another thing that the mind needs to work on. Like we as people need to understand, not to always give in to everything that we want. You know, not everything that you want you need. You get what I mean? Like, so just, you know, understanding your health is very important. You know, taking care of the way you take care of your body, the way you take care of your mind, you know, and then obviously your brain will work a lot differently, you know, in a positive way.
True. Yeah, no. And I would say when it comes to the mind too, because you brought up kind of you brought up a good point. You kind of brought up basically if you feel like, you know, when your mind kind of tells you like, let's talk about like desire. What can like desire do to our mind? You know what I mean? Where it's like
Yeah.
we have this big desire to have like a relationship,
No.
uh, financial freedom, like you know what I mean, you know, have a bunch of money.
Right.
Um, you know, there's a lot of desires that people just naturally have, right? Those are some of the most common ones,
Mm.
but that can also kind of let's talk about how like basically what I'm trying to say is outcome happiness, you know, where it's like,
Yeah.
okay, this outcome will then make my mental health better. You know what I mean? When I get this, then I'll have a better mental state of being, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
But we know that that's not always true, right? Because it's like you ever had like, okay, like there's something that you want, and maybe you get a little taste of what you want, right? Uh,
Yeah.
that's one of your desires, and you realize that either you want more out of it, or you realize that, oh, this isn't gonna make me happy at all, right?
Right. No,
So
I agree. I agree with that. Like, you know, moderation, man. Kind of like we were saying with the food, but you know, I think when we do get that taste of something that we want so bad, you know, we need to understand that everything comes. You know, you can't get time back, and people say you can get money back and all this. It all comes with hard work, you know, in life. You know, if we keep a positive mindset going into it, it might work out in your favor, whatever it is that you want, or whatever you get a taste of and you want more of. You know what I mean? Maybe it helped you, maybe it didn't. You know, I see what you mean on a lot of those perspectives that you were bringing.
totally. Um, and that's the thing too, is that like some of us we may feel kind of enslaved a little bit, right? You know what I mean? It's like, okay,
Yeah,
it's like, you know, that goes back to the hard work thing, right? You know what I mean? There's people probably in third world countries that could work 20-hour days, right? But
yeah,
it's not gonna build them the life that they want financially, you know what I mean, right?
right.
So sometimes that's not always the case, you know, when it comes to uh hard work, you know what I mean? But um
Yeah,
I think that what's really good for our mental health is just to have a very balanced life, you
yeah,
know, where it's like, you know, we should be happy. We try to be happy all the time. Like, okay, I'm happy presently, you know what I mean? Like I'm happy right now on this
yeah,
podcast, you know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna be like, oh,
yeah.
I'm waiting until Saturday and then I'm gonna be happy, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Count your blessings every day, bro, is what you're kind of saying. And I agree with that 100%.
We'll count it every day too, but here's the thing though, I mean, is that we can I believe that we can kind of manipulate the way that we want to feel like right now, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what? Like my ego tells me to feel a little bit angry, but you know what? I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna feel happy. You know what? Even if I don't, I'm
mm,
just gonna keep telling myself I'm happy, and then more of it's just gonna come. You know, and
yeah,
we can bring like positive emotions with there's a few ways to do it. We can do it through like meditation, okay?
right, yeah,
And then we can also do it through like mantras too and affirmations, you know what I mean? Literally
yeah,
just telling yourself, you know what I mean? Like just walking around and saying, you know what? And saying to ourselves either in our mind or saying out loudly, I am happy, you know what I mean? And maybe just keep repeating that whenever you
going
feel
through something.
like you're the opposite of that, right? Because
Yeah,
what we know is that when you feel stuff, when you tap into the feeling of something, then usually more of it comes as long as you're into that feeling more, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. You know, working on your positivity and, doing all these fundamentals of, like we had went through, eating better, watching out for your moderation, moderation's good as well, but also just taking care of not just the mind, but the body. All this stuff will become nutrients to the brain in a way, you got to look at life differently. You can't always just look at everything negatively, and that's something I got to learn. I know what we're doing right here is very positive because we're helping a lot of people understand that life is important, and the way that you live your life is the way that life is going to be thrown at you. Sometimes it's okay, have a bad day, let it out, but don't be like this every day. Try to work on the mind and make it better, so everyone around you can be better. And just we got to do we just got to do better, by ourselves. And then you got to love yourself before you can love someone else. That's another thing we got to learn as well, but doing that is by taking these fundamentals that we're speaking on and using them to your best ability, I feel like.
No, I agree. It's very essential to because they both complement each other, the physical body
Right.
and also the spiritual body, right?
Yeah.
And you can't have you have to take care of both, otherwise it's not going to work out. You know what I mean? To the full,
Right.
if that makes sense.
No. No, that does. That makes perfect sense. I mean, there's so many factors of how you know, how your brain, your mind, and everything plays back. You have to learn. You have to. That's why, that's why they put us in school, man, so we can learn. Not this, but that, and obviously at some point when I was in school, I remember, getting closer to like 12th grade into like when I tried to do college. I wasn't able to do it, but you were able to. You had I think you went into college a little bit differently than I did. I kind of went in just trying to escape wherever I was then, and trying to kind of just get away from whatever I had. And then I think for you, you went in like your brain was you worked very hard, and that was one thing I really loved about how your mind and brain has grown over the years, bro. Like you definitely inspiring me. You know, that's an inspiration, man, right there, and you should be
Well, thank
proud
you.
of that.
Well, but
You know.
no, but I mean, if I'm being honest too, I mean, when I was younger, dude, in school, I mean, it's like I remember my best friend in the whole entire class was the clock on the wall. You know what I mean? I couldn't wait till that clock said 3:30 p.m. every single day.
Yeah.
I was just staring at that clock to say 3:30. You know what I mean? I couldn't wait to just get out of there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's probably because maybe I didn't really, I don't know. I don't know if it was necessarily that I mean, I'm grateful for the education and all that, right? But I felt to a point that it was just a little bit, I wasn't really able to kind of free my mind. I think that's kind of
Yeah.
lack with our
Well,
education system where I think it kind of fails a little bit.
yeah. I'll be honest. A lot of the things that I've been taught, not just spiritually, but like even through school, uh, it hasn't stuck with me. It kind of goes one ear and out the other. And so I feel like too, another thing is being able to talk to someone who's on the same level as you. You're not going to get help from someone who maybe doesn't relate to you. It's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot longer for them to get through to you, for you both to be on the same page. So that happened with the teachers that I had met through my whole lifetime. Some I couldn't stand, some I liked, some could help me with this, and then others just kind of, it's just the way that our brain works. We want to learn certain things stick to us, and other things don't. It becomes repetitive, and
It has
sometimes
to
the
kind of be a
brain.
passion, you know what I mean? Or else it's not going to work. It has to be a passion.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, for college, I feel like you got to have like something going in. It's not like high school where you're just trying to get through the stages just so you're okay. I'm graduated, and all you're chasing for is a diploma in high school. It's way different than in college. In college, you're not just chasing for a diploma; you're chasing for a career. Something that you have to work super hard for and know exactly what you want. to get it. You know what I mean?
Oh, and I think some of us too, you know what I mean, when you have, young kids going into college, they may be more in like the party mode, you know what I mean? Where
Oh
it's like
yeah,
viewed as just, oh, this is gonna be kind of fun because you're still kind of like not in like the real world yet, where it's like you gotta work and pay your bills, you're going to school, but you can worry about that stuff later though, you know what I mean? It's like you're just some people are just there to have fun. Um,
yeah.
but no, that's a thing. Maybe we could talk about you familiar with like the chakras a little bit?
Okay.
What's that?
I said, okay, that sounds good with me. You start out with it, and then I'll come in with
Oh
the
yeah.
subject.
Well, I mean, okay, so that's essentially what Kundalini is.
Yeah.
Kundalini yoga, like and all that stuff like that. It helps to unblock these chakras. So we got seven chakras, okay? And they're like all like lowered, they're all like in our spine, all the way up to like the top of our head, right? Like and I
Yeah.
think the top chakra would be our crown chakra. Um, but I think trying to think. So like the first three chakras, like starting off with like the root chakra, which is like kind of located kind of near like the sex organs. And then you got more of like you got the root, you got the sacral chakra, which is just a little bit higher, which is I think it's kind of like more tiered towards like the gut or something like that. And then
Okay.
it's also kind of like I think you got the solar plexus, which is just like a little bit below your chest. You got your heart chakra, your third eye, and then your crown chakra, right?
Right.
And what we want to do is we want to our lower chakras, like our root chakra and our sacral chakra, are kind of like responsible for a lot of our negative emotions. Like, have you ever noticed? And sometimes I think like certain negative emotions, like you'll feel it like in like in that area. Like, have you ever
Yeah.
noticed you feel like a little bit worried, and it's like you have the butterflies in your stomach, right?
Right. Right. Yeah. This could be. I mean, some of these chakras could be pain, right? Could be maybe your pain, like having pain in your body, or maybe emotion. This could be. Maybe closer to the top area. Kind of
Well,
maybe. I mean, right? Or am
no,
I
so
am I right on that?
typically, the higher chakras. So once you get to the heart chakra, then it's all just like It's all just like good energy from there.
So it only goes up, and pretty much is what you're
Basically, only
saying,
goes up.
right?
But you want to get up to the highest chakra is essentially like the
Mm,
most powerful, you could kind of say. But they'll have a different place. But um,
yeah.
root chakra, like it's like where our sex organs is. That's kind of where like the blockages are. People that like have like addiction issues, like especially when it comes to like sex and stuff like that, or watching stuff on the internet.
Or
Um,
drinking or smoking or yeah,
yeah, that was.
drugs.
I don't know. Well, I don't
Yeah.
know about that part, but at least the like the negative like sexual energy would be located more into the like the lowest chakra. But essentially, what we want to do though, let me just get a little bit of a word salad, but we want to kind of learn how to unblock these chakras, right? So
Yeah.
that's really what Kundalini is. It's all about unblocking all of our chakras, and that way that the energy is all kind of
In
flowing,
every area.
flowing together. You know what I mean? In every area, and everything is in a perfect kind of balance, you could say.
Right, right. And I think a lot of this does, I mean, Kundalini yoga is like for you, I think it's very you know what I mean? Like it's your therapy, and then for me it's like weightlifting. So like finding what you
Well,
love
I enjoy
most.
weightlifting too, but yeah.
No, I'm just giving like an idea of like what we focus on the most, but or it could be the music, whatever. But like we said kind of in the last episode or so, in life you got to kind of find what's therapeutic for you. So like you said, these seven shock areas are presented at its best, right? You
Chakra.
gotta you what is it called?
Chakras, not shock areas.
Sorry, chakras. But
Oh, you're good.
yeah, yeah, but no, I mean it's like you said. I mean, you just really got to find that therapeutic thing to make your mind be at its well-being, like be at its best. Like that's why it's very good to just do these things, whatever's helping you in life to get away from whatever, you might be fighting temptation, or it could be, like we said, it could be addiction, it could be, our sexual, desire, whatever that can be bad
Right.
sometimes it
And
can
I
be
think,
good, just depends. But
and I will say this too. I think that after a while, like whenever because I feel like at first, like to kind of like ascend to a conscious, like to like a higher consciousness level, we have to, we do have to have a little bit of willpower. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
that power to say, you know what, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to cave into this. Um,
right,
willpower to have like to use your time more wisely. Um,
right,
well, you know what I mean? And then also just you also I think you have to kind of incorporate, I do think you have to incorporate spiritual practices like, meditation, I think is number one. I think you got to do that. And then I think you have to, requalify your thoughts, study the ego, learn the ego. Uh
yeah,
and then I think when you have that down, then it's like it becomes effortless, you know what I mean? Like these
yeah.
things that you struggle with, it just starts to just become effortless over time.
Right. And all this will help the brain, mind, and just everyday life in general. You know, if we were to elaborate, just kind of like on everything that we've taught you guys all in this lesson. One thing I'm gonna say that I'm gonna close out because I know we both know we're up on time,
Yeah, we got a
but
minute and a half, so
minute and a half. So I'm gonna do my closing. You know, do do the things that are going to help you be a better person so the brain works in your favor. That's how I'm going to close it out. Your turn, Parker.
yeah, I'm gonna say that that you have to realize that your mind is very, very powerful, very, very strong. You have to represent, I think someone has to recognize that we're not separate from God. We actually are God because we're part of the universe. So that kind of makes us God. So we have that power. Um, and then I think what else to do is that we have to just kind of find what works for us, right?
Right.
Find find what we can, like the negative things that happen to us, the negative emotions that we may experience. Maybe we got to figure out where they all stem from, right? We have to journey into ourselves to really learn about ourselves, right? And then that's how we can grow, I think. That's
I
just
love that.
my closing argument. But all right,
Well,
guys,
Jared,
Parker, we're out.
we're out, y'all.